Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Lights,
Hare
please.
Hare,
Thank you.
Hare
Yeah.
Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjo Bihari
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjo Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Yashodanandana Bhagadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhagadana Ranjana Yamona Tira Vanatari Yamona Tira Vanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Yashodanandana Bhagajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhagajana Ranjana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gunanitai, 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 Jaya Gunanitai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Om
Krishna
Namo
Krishna
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so thank you all for coming. And I hope we can have a enlivened discussion on this subject matter. So, reading from the Gita, so chapter 16, verse 17, the divine and demoniac natures. Okay, so the Sanskrit and then the translation. Atma sambhavavit sava dana mana maravita yaganti manayajnaste samehi vihi pufakam. Translation: self-complacent and always impudent. So this word impudent means not showing due respect to others, impudent. Deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only, without following any kinds or any rules or regulations. Okay, so it's a short purport, Prabhupada. Okay, I think it's long enough not to make you fall asleep, so I'll just go through it. Short one. So, thinking themselves all in all, not caring for any authority or scripture. The demoniacs sometimes perform so-called religious or sacrificial rites. And since they do not believe in authority, they are very impudent. This is due to illusion caused by accumulating some wealth and false prestige. Sometimes such demons take up the role of preacher, mislead the people, and become known as religious reformers or incarnation of God. They make a show of performing sacrifices, or they worship the demigods, or manufacture their own god. Common people advertise them as God, and worship them. And by the foolish, they are considered advanced in principles of religion or in the principles of spiritual knowledge. They take the dress of the renounced order and of life, and engage in all nonsense in that dress. Actually, there are so many restrictions for one who has renounced this world. The demons, however, do not care for such restrictions. They think that whatever path one can choose or create is one's own path. There is no such thing as a standard path one has to follow. A word, avidhi puvakam, meaning disregard for the rules and regulations, is especially stressed here. These things are always due to ignorance and illusion. Okay, so here a nice little short purport, plenty of information there from Prabhupada. But essentially, we're talking about people, you have two kinds. You have those, or even three. You could say you have sometimes four as well. You have the Gyanis, the Kamis, the Yogis, and the devotees. In spiritual life, or maybe in material life, there are many shortcuts. And people will take to different paths in the name of God, and hopefully they will get some rewards. But it is, if one does not wish to follow regulative principles or regulations, the tendency is that it can be a very troublesome thing to make spiritual progress. So there's a warning here. There's a warning here that if we choose to ignore regulations and the rules of religion, then we might get some results. We can perform some sacrifices and we can please the demigods, as it is well known. It's a well-known thing. It's all there in the Shastras, in the Vedas, how we can perform activities to get certain results. It's all there. But we have this Bhakti Yoga, which is spiritual life, and this Bhakti Yoga is the express way to go back to God. Now, because of material desires, most people are not so much interested in God. And they might perform some rituals for namesake. They call this pratishtha. So pratishtha is name and fame. Thank you. Pratishtha is name and fame. So you can perform some sacrifices because you want to make a show of it. It could be that someone wants glory, they want the prestige that comes with it, they want the fame. This is happening in any tradition. In any tradition, you'll find people who are not genuinely following the right path, and they will disregard what is scriptural injunctions and choose something else because they have some material desires they want to fulfill. So here the warning is to cease material desires. I know that's a big thing. It's a big thing because we all have it. We all, to some extent, we desire something materially, because after all, we live in a material world, so we have these desires. But it is said that with these material desires, spiritual advancement will be very, very troublesome. And by the mercy of the Lord, one can cross this vast ocean of nescience, which is called material existence. And the whole thing can be reduced to no more than water in a calf's hoof print. So therefore, you easily pass over it. So material life is considered to an ocean, a very vast ocean, and it's very, very difficult to cross. And and we must understand that from scriptures that we cannot cross material ocean with material desires. They have to be spiritual. And there's a verse, I think in Bhaktivedanta 5:29. And this verse speaks of what sacrifices are meant for. So they're meant for pleasing Vishnu, because he's the supreme enjoyer. And is Bhuktaram Yagna Tapasam Savaloke Maheswaram Sudam Sava Bhutanam Katvamam Satim Rachate. And the translation, confirmation there. So the translation is, one who sees me, one who is in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate benefactor or beneficiary of all sacrifice and austerities. I can't believe this. Sorry. Okay, so I'll just turn this off. Okay, my apologies. So So the one Gita 5:29, the one who is in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all demigods and the planets, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, gain relief from the pangs of material misery. So that verse, that's from the Gita, Krishna speaking there. So if one wants release from all this, the ups and the downs that we experience in material life, he alone can take, because he is the shelter of the entire universe. He can be the shelter for everyone, all living entities. That's how great this supreme being is. So we would say then, with a little intelligence, one would say, okay, you can, as it is said, the example is given that when one waters the root of the plant, of the tree, the whole thing is benefited. The twigs, the branches, the leaves, all benefited. And so here it says that without directly being expressed, it is, we can understand that when we perform some sacrifices for other reasons, anything else apart from pleasing the Supreme Lord, then nothing is done properly. It's improperly done. It's done in an improper way, Krishna says. So we, even when people pray to the demigods, and of course, I do accept and respect people's devotion that they offer to their gods and the beings, but we must understand also that there is a supreme being, and he is the overseer of everything, and he's the lord of the demigods as well. So the question is, why not just go to him directly instead of the demigods? It's just a little bit of intelligence. So why not serve him instead? Because they have no power to do anything unless it is authorized by the Supreme Lord. So there are some instructions to follow. And if we carefully follow these instructions, then we can be free, not only free, but very happy, even in this life. Wealth and those things obviously cannot guarantee happiness. It's not possible to be happy in material existence. It's not possible. But we try to squeeze a little something out of it, we taste some happiness and we think, this is good. And we acquire some wealth because we're being told that if we do well, then that's our lot, and it's our sweat and these things, and it's our talent, our abilities, we put to good use, and you acquire some wealth or something like that. But the conclusion is that nobody can be happy in material life without spiritual progress. And that's conclusive. That's in the Vedas. And that's been, even someone who is actually pursuing material activities and who is so-called happy in a material life sometimes come to that realization as well. Everything comes crushing down, and then you feel, hey, I'm going to be here. There must be something else. As occasionally we get frustrated, and we get burnt out, and we become materially exhausted. And at that point, we turn to, if we could find a scripture like this, very useful to give us faith, and actually to help us to get started on this progress, this spiritual progress. So we come to the temple, and we take darshan of their lordships. We have some association, but we can go a little bit deeper. We can follow the sastras, the instructions, and the rules and the principles of religion. So therefore, we can gain relief completely. Not only that, we can traverse this material existence without so much pain, and then at the end of it, then we attain the perfect destination, or we attain that perfection, which is liberation from entanglement. And then we make our way back to this spiritual world, which is where we belong actually. So I know at the moment some people are not ready to go because they have so many things to fulfill down here, so many desires. And so, and hankerings as well, we have these things. It's a very complicated thing, material existence, for the living entity. And we get trapped in this, in this complication, we get trapped, right? And therefore, we become bewildered. And when we become bewildered, we lose our intelligence, and then intelligence is gone. And then what happens? We sink even further into it. So the sadhus, sastra, the instruction we're given is to take these warnings and help us to improve our existence. So sacrifices is to please Vishnu, and for his pleasure only. And this is what we do here. We devote our time, we devote some resources, and everything for Vishnu. At the moment, we don't fully realize, we're just following some instructions, because quite frankly, we don't really know the goal of life. Even as devotees, we're following some instructions, but we're not always fixed up in that devotion. So we don't really know the goal of life. And we talk about moksha, dharma, and moksha is liberation, dharma, activities, artha, regular economic well-being activities, all these things. But we really don't know how to do these things properly and to execute these things in the right way to gain liberation. And there are many processes. Some of them are quite troublesome. For the yogi, it could take a long time. It is said millions of years or lifetimes, millions of lifetimes, to come to the point of actually the point that we're actually doing now. This process is Bhakti Yoga. But someone could take the trouble, millions of years, trying to come to this point, and may never reach it. But by the mercy of the Lord, one can cross this ocean of nescience, or nescience, can cross it, as I mentioned before. And they can reduce the whole thing by the mercy of the Lord to no more than water in a calf's hoof print. Therefore, you can easily step over. So that's what we're given here. And we can all agree that in this life we're going to need some help. We are a little bit ignorant about spiritual things and how to execute the proper method. But with correct knowledge and with the proper application, we certainly can make progress, even in this life. So with that being said, I suppose now you can look and say, okay, we all have material desires, and maybe it's a time for introspection. We can look in and say, because when we come to a discourse, a class like this, I'm saying something, but also I'll tell you something, a little secret. It's for my own spiritual purification as well. So my heart has been purified, and I hope you can get something you can take home and apply. So that's the goal, you see. We're here to help. It's an exchange. So please free to have your input. And if you have any burning questions or any questions at the end, I would be happy to accommodate those and to answer as much as I can. So with the right application, correct knowledge, with the right application, then we can achieve perfection. And that's the goal. That's what we're here for. What is this perfection? This perfection is is in union with the Supreme. And the Vedas, the conclusion of the Vedas is this, is to know the Supreme. That's the conclusion. It's a vast body of knowledge, and you can get whatever it is you want in it. You want whatever you want to know. We all understand this. There's so much knowledge out there in the Vedas, so much knowledge, different branches, but that same knowledge can help us to attain the ultimate perfection. So let's come back to this point now. Now, happiness. Can you close the door, please? Can you close? Yes. Okay. So we're all seeking after this happiness. and also peace, happiness and peace, hand in hand. Okay. Apparently, in this world, it's becoming a bit of a scarcity, peace. I mean, we can all agree. I mean, not only are we troubled by external things, out there, but we also troubled by the mind, the state of the mind, being in lower consciousness and being governed by the modes. So we are affected by the mind affects us. And also, other living entities give us trouble. So getting peace, finding peace now is very, very difficult. Okay? And we are always disturbed at the moment. Okay? Peace, but how can there be peace? How can there be happiness without peace? Firstly, we have to be peaceful to be happy. Or else it's not possible. So, and this question being, we've discussed this, we've debated this for millennia, for a long time. How can we be happy? We understand now that the happiness is not found in material existence. I mean, anyone here could agree. Can we be happy materially? Can anyone show me? And if you put your hand up, you'll have to give a justification for it. So you'll have to explain to me why you can be happy materially. This is stirring the debate and to get some, so we can all have an exchange here. Can anyone be materially happy? You say you might be, probably you have a comment? Mohan Prabhu, have you got a mic by any chance? Yeah, you get a chance. Yeah. Shri Shri Radha Gokul Nanda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai, Gonitai Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We just wait for a moment till we get the mic.
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu.
In the material world,
Yes.
material things can make you happy. By definition.
It can. Is that your belief? Your conviction?
No, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
It just appears. It appears that way that it can make you happy. Yes. Okay. So the Prabhu. What's your name, Prabhu?
Pami.
Bobby. Yeah. So Bobby Prabhu said that in material life, material things can make you happy, but it appears that way. But for how long? Before you get frustrated with that very same thing that in the beginning supposedly made you happy.
But you have a choice of buying so many things.
Yeah, but then you move on to something else.
Yes.
And then you get exhausted with that thing.
You don't get exhausted, you just want to change.
Oh, you want to change.
Yeah. You want to enjoy a change.
So you're not satisfied then? That's what you're saying?
You can be satisfied with the first thing.
Yes.
And buy something else which will give you a different kind of pleasure.
I see. And guess what? And it's material and it's temporary.
Yeah.
So we're looking for temporary happiness.
But you always buy something else that is temporary again.
Yeah, but the thing is, so your happiness depends on material something. And here is this is a sadness, because you're filling a well that cannot be filled, because that desire is so deep. The material desire that we can have is so deep, it cannot be filled. And that's why you see some people, even stars, and they have extraordinary wealth and influence, and they have 10 cars. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't I have that? But because they can afford it. But it's not fulfilling the thing. And you can go on many holidays per year, but you still want to do more of it. At the end, you get exhausted. And the thing is, at the very, very end, when you have to vacate this body, then what are you living with? You have to give them up. So here's the crucial thing. So we should live our lives in such a way that we have an inheritance, a spiritual inheritance, not a material one, but we have to leave those things. So the real asset, the real goal, or the real value, the real gem in life is spiritual realization, spiritual knowledge, spiritual assets.
That's for the material person to realize that.
That's the point. And that's why we're here sharing and going out and distributing these books. That the goal of life, Atata Brahma Jinjasa. So one must inquire about the absolute truth. And until one does that, they risk, okay, you take birth again and you have to do the same thing again, trying to enjoy. But it can never be satisfied because the soul does not require material things for satisfaction. So we must satisfy the real inner man, the soul, the spirit soul that we are. You see? And that's the contradiction we have in this world, is that we're trying to, it's an artificial imposition actually, trying to satisfy the soul with material things. It's very artificial. So therefore, we cannot be 100% satisfied. And hence, we are bewildered. Yes. And you know why this is? Because we're trying to conquer material energy. Instead of saying, okay, maybe the first point of interest would be say, okay, let me pay my respect to Mother Earth and let me, respect and use the resources of the earth carefully and do not take more than what is required. In this life, we, and general human beings are at fault. They actually are, we are the ones, we hoard, we take and we accumulate things that are not really necessary for life, for sustaining life. In spiritual life, high thinking and simple living. So, therefore, it implies that we take just enough to keep the body and mind, or the body and soul together, and nothing more. And if we do that, that in itself, just that principle, there'll be no trouble in the world. I tell you. You could draw and you could point to many things, but this particular one here, just this example, you do that and there's no more problem. Why? Because we wouldn't have to be fighting over things. And there are enough resources. So first of all, we acknowledge Mother Earth, and we appreciate what we've been given and use it respectfully as stewards of the earth. That's the other thing, first thing. And then we respect the energy behind it, the supreme controller, who is the Supreme Lord. We say here Krishna. And then you're in harmony with everything. You're nicely situated. You coexist with nature nicely, and then you acknowledge the Supreme Being who's behind it, and you serve Him with pure devotion, because that's what he deserves. He deserves that. And then and this is our goal. We're trying to head that way in terms of the service we offer, ensuring that it's come to the point of pure devotion, where there's no material tinge of material desire there. And when we do that, we can guarantee that destination is assured. Because Krishna says, you surrender unto me and I take care of your sinful reactions. And, because he's our dear friend. So this is it. He can take it, can take us to where we need to go and be free eternally. But we have a choice. We can take to a nice process this path, or we can do the hard thing. We can go the hard way. So human beings, you know what? Life is life, and then we have choices. That's all life is about, making choices. Every day we're making a decision. Is it right or wrong? But life is a series of choices. So we can make this one choice in this lifetime. And Prabhupada said, give this one life to Krishna. He said, yeah, one life to Krishna. I'm trying to do that myself, because I think I'm awakening a little bit to this reality. So I'm trying to use my intelligence correctly and think, okay, put an end to misery, because I realize that I'm in the same position like most people, but by mercy and by the grace of the Lord, I understand that if I take shelter of Him, then I'm secured. That's it. So these are some of the points I wanted to share with you, and I could rattle on, I could go on for a bit, but I love discussions. So I love to hear some feedback, some suggestions, and anything, corrections. Okay, so if there are no questions, then I'll go on then. I'll continue.
Prabhu, can I ask you one thing?
Yes.
How do you figure out a fake preacher or prophet or organization?
If their followers are happy and contented and peaceful and loving,
then that's real.
yes, and there are certain traits to look for. You know, if there's humility there, tenderness, caring, compassion. I mean, these things has to be genuinely cultivated. You have to have a real process, a real process with the right source. Is coming from the right source. Someone who's speaking it must be bona fide. Or else you can't just develop these qualities like this. They are cultivated. So that's how I look out for those who are fake. What are the attributes? Do they have these qualities? And if they have, yeah, bona fide. Is that okay, Prabhu?
If you say so.
No. I mean, if you're not satisfied, if you're not happy with the answer, then maybe it sounds like you're not entirely convinced by my response.
There's one question of Hiranyakashipu. You can know that.
Yeah.
That because he was trying happiness as well, and he could not find it, and Krishna really came and killed him afterwards. So there wasn't any happiness, was it? He looked for so much. He was ruling all the countries, everything he had.
Yeah.
But where was the happiness? He didn't have that.
Because yes, and he wasn't following regulative principles.
Yeah,
He wasn't following regulative principles.
regulative principles.
It was something concocted by his own imagination, and so he pleased the Lord and he attained some power, Lord Brahman. But it wasn't. There was no love there. The love for the Supreme. It was to do with, this is like false ego gone mad in Hiranyakashipu. Absolutely. So he was extremely powerful, and but it's always, the demons always end up in ruins because they always misuse the power given to them. Whereas devotees now, like Arjun, very powerful, but he used it in Krishna's service. So the demons always misuse, it's the same energy, but they misuse that for self gratification or sense gratification, and never for the Lord, because the enemies of the demigods, the demons, always fighting the demigods, because the demigods are servants of the Lord. They're in charge of executing their duties, universal management and affairs. Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. 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 You're right. It's an example for us. There are lessons in these pastimes for us, because we have in our midst, we have the Hiranyakashipus in our midst and Ravenas. We have them within us as well. So we try to kill those demons too. Purification and correct knowledge, applications, association, through our sadhana, chanting, all these things. Oh, so much to do in spiritual life, just to kill the demons within us. So that they're there. It's just that sometimes, for some reason, from time to time, you have demons, and you have them now. It's not like Hiranyakashipu, but he was extremely powerful. But you still have them now in the world here. Huh? In Kali Yuga, yeah. But the thing is, they're much more. They're more. It's like many of them, but they're not so powerful. They're like small demons, but they're plenty of them, but small. I suppose in those days they were massive. They were huge demons. like it would make the demigods tremble. They would be afraid of them. I mean, and the demigods aren't exactly weak beings, but they would be afraid of these demons, because they would actually know how to execute the yagyas and how to do these things properly to gain the power. I don't think the demons now have that kind of a knowledge. Yeah. So I guess that's why they're not so powerful, because they don't know where to. Okay, they maybe have some karma, and then they abuse the power that they have, but they do not know how to execute processes or yagyas to gain supreme, like become very powerful. So, is that okay now? Okay, is that okay with you, Prabhu? Okay. Any more questions? Yeah. So yes. So here they talk about the demons, the demoniacs. That, let me find this. Where was I again? Where was I in the scripture here? They talk about the demoniac nature in the prayer report. Okay. Okay. So we must understand that so when we perform sacrifices, not according to regulations or the rules of the sastras, then we are actually becoming more implicated and becoming more attached to the material existence, or entanglement, becoming more entangled in the soul existence. And then what happens is that it's guaranteed, and we have to take birth again and go through the whole thing. And then, but at some point, as I mentioned before, at some point we need to get out, and one can perform some activities, some sacrifices, and you can attain heavenly higher planets. We understand this. This is very, it's common knowledge. You perform, you become pious or more pious. You attain higher realms, and you go, up. You go up to, you may go to heavenly planet. I mean, it's interesting because Prabhupada said, I can share this with you. Prabhupada said, when he was here on the planet, he remarked that a lot of his devotees will go to the heavenly planets. And the heavenly planet is still a material place. Because he could see that there are desires there. Desires to enjoy and material desires. So, but we can choose. And it may not even be in this lifetime, even if we don't make it. But we can make a sincere effort to make a change and to get ourselves out of this condition that we're in, for so many lifetimes. So we're grateful for the acharyas and the teachings and Prabhupada for coming and for doing what he did to deliver the fallen here in the West, the fallen fallen Westerners, and we are actually. It's a very interesting times we're going through. Times are very interesting, and more people are inquiring because they want to know the absolute truth, because they're absolutely fed up with what's going on, and the lies that we've been fed, and so thankful we can take shelter of correct knowledge, Guru, Sadhu, Sastra. We have those three things, then we can, and we adhere, and we apply the knowledge. We practice nicely, then success is assured. So we don't have to perform ritualistic sacrifices to attain something. There's a higher goal. There's a higher goal. So the real gem is this. It's a spiritual gem. So we go in and we practice nicely, and we have the association, and we come. It's an austerity. Spiritual life is an austerity, but one can be happy and can be liberated even in this very life, this very lifetime. So it's worth taking up. So yes, I think, I'm not sure I have anything more to say. We have a few more minutes to go, about 7 minutes. So I'll leave it open again, so if anyone want to prod me a little bit, see if, with a question. You go for it, Prabhu.
Prabhu, you mentioned that Prabhupada to this country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there something wrong with Christianity?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
The
It is
only
said,
reason why.
Yes,
the
I
only-
understand your statement.
Yeah.
Understand your statement.
If Krishna
yes.
wanted Prabhupada to come here
Yeah.
and spread his word,
Yeah.
then there's a reason why that.
Yes. When Prabhupada arrived, it was the situation he found that people were practicing, and they were actually. I mean, the scriptures are clear in the Bible what we should and should not do, but it would be disregarded. Being disregarded. So it is said that it's difficult. He said that himself, Prabhupada said, it's difficult to find a genuine Christian who actually live in what Christ preached. Very difficult to find one. And it's a very strong statement because we live in this is a Christian country.
It's because it's more material here.
Yes. Because Jesus says, "Thou shalt not kill," and but no, we. I mean, it's amazing. So many slaughterhouses.
Okay.
So that's the first. I think that's the first commandment: "Thou shalt not kill." We're killing like nothing. So there you go. That one is out, and and the intoxication and meat eating. Obviously, that's why they kill. Meat eating, illicit sex, and what's the other one? Gambling. Yes, all that is going on. And these are the 4 sinful pillars of society, and it's more rampant than anything else. So they needed something like this. We needed something like this. But in all fairness, we are where we are according to the evolution of our consciousness, because we're all at different stages in our evolution. So for some people, Christianity suits them. They're happy, and they should stay because that's how much they can take. For some, they want something higher. So they want, purification, and they want liberation from material entanglement. They want deeper knowledge. What is the science of the soul? Who is God? What are his pastimes? What are his attributes? I need some details, please. Not just something I have to conjure up in my head. God maybe is a spirit. Is he an energy? What is he? Some people want answers. So for those who are inquisitive and want more, you have the Vedas, and you have the teachings of Prabhupada and the Acharyas. But I think religion they are bona fide religion in the world, and they have their purposes. They serve, they should be there according to our inclination and desires. We can, yeah. But it's it's a way, because you might be a Christian now. Who's to say? You might meet a devotee, and the next life you become a devotee, and you on your way back to Godhead. So yeah, but there's a glorious picture in Christendom, very glorious, that the picture is painted, heaven and all the glories, and Then here I understand that heaven is still a material planet. You do your piety, you go there, and it's finished, and you come back. But what is interesting about Christ, and this is my own personal take on it, and I think it's been backed up in another place. Even by, I think, I don't know from whom, maybe Prabhupada, I can't say exactly. But Christ is such a powerful servant of the Lord that he takes care of his own. And he has his own planet. Devotees go to him there, and then he might train them to go to a higher place. So Christians stand a very good chance taking shelter of Christ. He is very, very faithful, apparently. And that's why here, so much is mentioned about Christ, even by Prabhupada himself. When Prabhupada speaks about Christ. He's a Vaishnava, and there's a familiarity in his voice. I hear it, when he talks about Christ. It's bona fide. So Christianity is a bona fide thing, but somehow along the way, derailment, and this, it's not disciplic succession. It's not being handed down correctly. So I think I have a couple of minutes more. I think I better leave it there before I don't want to be caught by the curtains, by the conch shell. So thank you very much for your questions, Prabhu, and thank you for listening, everyone. And I wish you all the best on your spiritual journey. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Guess what? I'll have to recite that. No, I don't think I recited enough. You do it.
Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaura ki, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we are going to sing Gaurarati prayer. The words are here on the right hand side if anyone needs. Jayo, Jayo, Gaurachandar, Aroti Goshobham. Janavita Tavane Jagamanaloba Tekinanitai Chan Bammegadadara Nikate Advaita Srini Vasachatradara Posiyache Gauracham Ratna Simhasane Harati Kaurena Brahma Adi Devagane Narahari Adi Kori Chamaradulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasho Goshadigaya Sanka Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Bhaje Karatala Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Sanka Bhaje Kanta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Sanka Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Sanka Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Bahukoti Chandrajini Vadana Ujvala Gala Deshabana Mala Gaure Jalamala Shiva Sukha Narada Brahma Gada Gada Bhaktivedanta Deke Gaurara Sampada Jayo Jayo Gaura Chandar Aroti Koshoba Jana Vita Kavane Jagamanaloba Gauranga Arotik Shobha Jaga Jana Manaloba. Gauranga Arotik Shobha Jaga Jana Manaloba. Gauranga Arotik Shobha Jaga Jana Manaloba. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Chaitanya Nityananda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vibho. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vivo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Sri Radhe. Jayo Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. Jayo Gauranitai 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 Jayo Gauranitai. Jayo Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for taking part in the Arati. So we'll say some glorification prayers. So please, we request everyone to bow down. If you can't bow down, you can also fold your hands. And whenever we say Ki, you say Jai. Very good. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtatarasya Chishimat. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtatarasya Chishimat. His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagant Kshetra Dham Ki. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we will sing now Narasimhadev prayers. So we request everyone to sit down and stay for a few more minutes, and then we'll serve Mahaprasadam outside. Anyone would like to sing? Anyone would like to sing? Would you like to sing?
I think he wants to sing. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Parlad lad daine. Hiranyakashi purvaksha. Shila Tanga Nakalaile Eto Narsimha Parato Narsimho Yato Yato Yamitato Narsimha Bahir Narsimha Hridaye Narsimho Narsimha Madim Sharanam Prapade Tav Kar Kamlavare Nakham Adhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipur Tanu Bringa Eshavadhirtha Narhari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare केशवधीर्ता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज नित्या गोरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्या गोरा हरि बोल नरसिंहदेव भगवान की प्रहलाद महाराज की श्रील प्रभुपाद की इत गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. So thank you for coming. We'll be serving Mahaprasadam outside on the reception. So please go and get some Mahaprasadam. Thank you. Hare Krishna.